Loved it.
Okay.
Nobody else did.
Hi, everybody. We're going to get started. Thank you all for coming out in the rain this evening. I really am surprised to see this many people mid-August, school back in session, vacation. So thank you all for coming out. This is, pretty amazing for me to see everybody in attendance. Vero O'Hare, who usually runs these events, is out of town. She's on business. She couldn't be with us tonight. But anyway, all of you gathering is a wonderful show of hands for our possibilities for downtown that were generated earlier this year from the Ideas for Downtown campaign. How many of you attended the sessions with Andreas Duani and DP Eco Design? Okay, that's quite a lot, so you're already pretty well engaged. For how many of you is this a new topic altogether? Okay, that's pretty big too. Okay, so a couple of things that we want to say. First and foremost is the bar is open until 6:30, and thank you to Riverside Theater for hosting these events. I mean, great cities begin with great dialogue, and Riverside Theater and Vero O'Hare have made that possible, so a big round of applause for that. So tonight we're going to hear from three people. Dori Stone first. Dori is the president and CEO of Indian River County Chamber of Commerce, and fortunately for us, the former planning director for the city of Winter Beach. So since the city is not allowed to promote this referendum that's on the ballot in November, it takes someone with Dori's expertise to help us really understand some of the technical aspects that the city can't answer for us. Followed by Dori, we're going to see Laura Moss. She's going to tell us a little bit about the Centennial. We just had the Centennial a couple years ago for Vero, and now it's for Indian River County. So did everybody know that we had a Centennial for Indian River County? Raise hands. See, nobody knew. So thank you for being here, Laura. She'll tell us a little bit about that. And Mayor Coutinho is going to give us an update on everything we all want to know about Three Corners, because we can't get enough, and just in general, Q&A. So it would be great, I think, if you could, after Dori speaks, if you have questions, come on up here, and then after Laura Moss and John Coutinho, we'll just open it up to general questions. So this evening tonight is particularly heartwarming for me because for all the years that I've been doing Let's Talk Vero from Three Corners to present, and that has really been made possible by Vero O'Hare. This is the first citizen-led and funded engagement, and it's kind of really exciting to see that all of you are coming together as leaders to advance this issue. So, as I just mentioned, the city is barred from participating in any promotional activities, and even if they could, they don't have a public information officer. So that's what we've been doing. Let's Talk Vero has been attempting to fill that void. And now, as I mentioned, this is kind of unprecedented to have this city-led initiative powered by TP Kennedy and Tom Core. TP, thank you. This is really great in such a short period of time. I think all of you know that council pretty unanimously wants this to happen, as does the community, but we had one council member who said, well, gee, I'm not sure there's been enough engagement, so we want to make sure that there's no question there was enough engagement. So the website, what you're seeing here is community members who are supporting, and you're invited to click and show your support as well. We're going to have, this is yesfordowntownvero.com. That's the website if you want to write that down or remember it. We'll be sending out emails if you receive our notifications. We're going to have, this will act as the hub for all of the communication, the surveys, events, tasting and walking tours, Zoom call invitations, and all sorts. We're going to have some cool events too for the under 45 set, because it's very hard to reach people who are under 45 because they're parenting, they're in their careers, and Vero will essentially even get babysitters. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, this is not associated with Let's Talk Vero, and it's not associated with the city, so we just want to be really, really clear about that. And as I mentioned, great cities begin with great dialogue, and with that, we'll introduce Dori Stone. Thank you very much.
Tech support. Yay, there we go. Thank you. Hi there. My name is Dori Stone. I have the great honor of being the president of the Indian River County Chamber of Commerce. And I'm just so pleased to be able to be here tonight and to be advocating for the opportunity to tell you a little bit about, from at least our perspective, the charter changes that are being requested. I am Jason Light for the city. I'm not representing the city though. I'm here representing the chamber. I'm also here representing an old hack planner because that's what I've done for a very long time in my life. But let me go ahead and get started. For those of you who don't know me, I had 35 years in community development and planning. I worked for the city of Winter Park. That was my last gig. And we did a lot of redevelopment along our downtown. We've won great awards in that, and I can see that same perspective here in Vero Beach. I also have had 6 years at the Indian River County Chamber of Commerce, and during those 6 years, outside of COVID, we have talked about workforce housing, we have talked about engaging the downtown, and we have been consulting with our members on and on again about what they need for their employees. How many of you know that 40% of all the employees in Clinton Clinic leave this county every night? They do not live here. That's a big fact. Piper, 30% of their employees don't live in county. School board, 30% of their employees don't live in the county. Think of the wages, think of the opportunities that we are missing by not being able to help these people move into quality housing. And I really see the perspective of being able to move into quality housing and being able to have a vibrant downtown as part of that. I did a little glossary of terms, and I'm glad I did because I've been told that my very last one my second to the last one I need to clarify. And you know, planners are notorious for planning speak. You know, we all have our acronyms. Oh my gosh, I mean, it's just and I don't like to use acronyms, but I will fall into that because it's what we do. So let's talk a little bit, so we're all on the same page about what we're discussing when we're talking about the charter amendment, both charter amendments and the things that are coming up. The comprehensive plan that's adopted by the city of Vero Beach is the blueprint for the growth for the city. A lot of what we're talking about tonight, when we're talking about the maps that show the designations, will go into that comprehensive plan when the amendments get passed. The land development code, or the land development ordinances, are the implementation of that comp plan. That's how we make all of this work. And right now we're at a very big picture, so we've got a lot of work to get into whittling down to a land development code aspect. Density, that is how many residential units are allowed on a piece of property. And that, I know, becomes a bigger issue as we talk about increased density throughout this. Now, I define the transfer of development rights as, and I got this from the APA, American Planning Association, the voluntary incentive-based zoning tool that allows landowners to sell the development rights of their land to other parties. I was told that is not how Vero is going to do it. Vero is going to create a pot of density to the extent of 1,800, as lays out in the charter amendment. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But they're not going to require people to buy and sell this. It's going to be usable up into the increase in density to 36 units per acre, subject to coming in for workforce housing. Workforce housing, let's talk about that. Boy, housing in general, who hasn't heard? I mean, everybody's talking about housing. State legislators are talking about housing, local officials are talking about housing. I sit on a committee with United Way and a lot of other housing people to talk about housing. When I'm talking about workforce housing, I'm talking about 80 to 120% of our median income, which is $81,000, $81,200. So we are talking about people who could afford, wait a minute, I have a cheat sheet. I have to get my cheat sheet. All right, we are talking about people who can afford, at the 80%, $66,000, that's what they make annually, and up to $97,000. That's the housing stock for those employees and those residents to be able to buy a home. So that's where we're talking about with workforce housing. And so that becomes a definition that we use throughout this entire program. And I do believe, talking to Jason about this, it's a definition that I think the city will have to settle on at the time that they decide to move forward with the implementation of what's being discussed. So how does a community vision work? So you all have been through some of this process. Did I see show of hands of how many have participated so far? Can I see that show of hands? Excellent. You're all planners. Every one of you is a planner. That's awesome. You now have a new credential. I was in government planning, and I will tell you, if it affects your property, if it affects your neighborhood, you are a planner. It matters to you, and that's why we're here tonight to talk about this. So we've already done the vision. The vision plan was what we worked on when Stan Tech came in and looked at all the plans that were done, when Bob Gibbs came in and looked at the plans, and when Andre Stawani took it all and created a master plan. The vision is done, and the city has adopted that vision through a series of referendums, or through resolution, as well as through ordinance. We are now in the area, that's the master plan that the city adopted. We are now in the process right now of planning and policy, and we're squarely in the middle of that. We've created a concept, we have an idea, we know what we want. We want to be able to provide mixed use, to provide higher density, keep our 50-foot ceiling for our buildings throughout the city, but we want to be able to provide that, and then we need to come up with all the policies and implementation that make it work. I always tell everybody who talks to me about this, if this gets adopted on November 5th, there will not be a line outside of Jason's office the next day to implement this, because by my count, there will be at least 9 more public hearings that have to take place in order to make this work. Those include public hearings to the Planning and Zoning Board and to the City Council. And there will be numerous city workshops and opportunities. And I always tell people, it's like, what we're doing right now is putting the framework in place. You're not drilling down to the details. I'm not gonna get into the details in this plan tonight in my presentation. The details are there. And I would suggest that if you want to see the details, get on the city's website and pull out your own copy of the Ideas for Downtown. It goes into a lot of detail about what 14th could look like, what the downtown could look like, what all the different areas around the city can look like. So I like to call this the heart, and it is the heart of Vero Beach. It's in the middle. It's like a little, it's like a little Taylor Swift heart right there in the middle. But it's what matters, and it's what's the oldest part of Vero Beach, and what should be the part that we want to preserve, but yet encourage, because all of that becomes part of what makes an identity to a community. So as you all may have seen, when the city has been doing their processes, they looked at the entire area that's considered for this mixed use under these 2 charter amendments, and they identified areas within this core that they wanted to propose, and there was a very in-depth study in the study I just showed you that Andres did about each one of these core pieces. So tonight, I'm going to look at the whole big map, and then I'm going to zoom in on section A, which is the walkable downtown. The walkable core, as Jason calls it. So I know you've been familiar with these maps. This is the area we just saw. This is the pink is the mixed use area. That is the area that you could use to build workforce housing. That is the area that you have the ability, that a developer would have the ability to go in and use some of those 1,800 credits to develop housing, to work within that threshold of workforce housing. The other is a little circle around the downtown core. So this is the map that I just showed you. This map will be, and it was, in the ordinances that adopted the language to be used at the charter amendment. Only the areas in this map will be affected by the charter amendment. No others. And the city has adopted ordinances that already say that. This map, when this gets passed, will be the map that's in your comprehensive plan. Remember the blueprint, the vision? This map will show you exactly what you can do and where you can do it. And there will be goals, objectives, and policies on how that all gets implemented. My bet is this map will also be in your zoning code, because your zoning district's gonna have mixed use on it. And this map is going to give the details to anyone interested in working within the workforce housing and the district to be able to tell them what they can and cannot do. This is our core. I like to think of this as the donut. That's the hole. This is the walkable core. This is the area that is unique. This is the area that we want to see the 36 dwelling units per acre as a given, up to 50 feet in height, which we already have. But this is the area where we want to encourage people to come downtown, visit us, live, work, and play, because it's all right there already. It doesn't take a lot to transform it. What it takes is the energy to create that enthusiasm and that vibrancy and those new projects that make people go, you know what, I never thought about getting a 2-bedroom downtown, but you know, that might be a great place for me to go live. Because I don't need a front yard, I can go to Pocahontas Park, I have parking, I can walk to my building, I can walk to work. And man, at nighttime when I get home, I can grab a bite to eat or go have a cocktail with friends. It's all right there. It just needs to be encouraged and it needs to be promoted as that, as the place where we've all heard it, live, work, and play. And that's what the downtown is about. So I know a lot of the concern has been when you start to talk about density. Density is a scary word. Everybody, anywhere I've ever worked, has worried about density. But what we're really proposing, what's being proposed in this concept, what's being proposed in this master plan, is the missing middle. All of Indian River is primarily low-density, single-family residential. A couple of apartments, maybe some townhomes, but most of the makeup, certainly in Vero Beach, is low-density, single-family residential. And we want to preserve that. We definitely want to keep that as it is. However, we also want to look at some uses in the middle that offer options. And those options, remember, 50 feet, that's 3 stories, maybe 4 stories in the core if you have the space for it. But we're not going into the big boys. That is not at all what's being discussed. We are talking about leaving all that high-rise stuff? No, not even on the table. We're talking about putting some missing middle pieces in. And what I like about the missing middle, because this is what the chamber has personally discussed, is the redevelopment of properties that already exist into uses that are small in scale, but very workable. And by that I mean duplexes, fourplex, townhomes. Imagine a townhome project that butts along the road. Your parking is in back, you have a little bit of grass, but you don't have a lot to work with, but you have the ability to walk to Pocahontas Park from wherever that's gonna be. I can really see a townhouse project work. You could get to the 12th Street Publix, you could walk downtown. There's a lot of potential. And looking at these missing middle pieces of this project. This is not my favorite, to be honest. So, but what Andres Duani was trying to do with this is he's taken the core and he has scaled, right? And every project needs a scale. You can't have every building come in and be 50 foot tall. My God, how boring would that be? You want to kind of have, different heights. You want some interest. You want to look at it and say, wow, I love that building and it's 27 feet tall, but look at this one, it's 50 feet, but look how gorgeous it is, and it's got retail on the first floor and 2 or 3 stories of residential. That diversity, that difference is what makes your downtown unique. It gives it flavor. It gives it pizzazz. Also wins awards, which is very nice. One of the other things that came out as a priority and an issue when it came to infrastructure was looking at parking. The city did a parking study and they've determined at this point in time they have enough parking to meet the needs of the downtown core. And funny, when you start working and living in a downtown, you don't always expect to park in front of your unit. You're willing to walk a little bit. And I know there's people who feel like they gotta park right, if I'm coming down, I wanna park right in front. Well, part of the fun is taking a walk and having a place that you wanna take a walk in that you really enjoy. Wide sidewalks, trees, landscaping, something to see, windows to peek in, people to check out while they're eating dinner. That's what makes this work. This slide was simply to show that the original concept from DPZ was 110 dwelling units per acre. That's not going anywhere, people. That's not at all what this is being proposed. The city has decided that they are going to limit this to 36 units per acre, 50 feet. And 1,800 is the cap. Remember, we'll go back to the donut and the hole, 1,800 units to transfer back and forth. Y'all following me on that? Yeah? So that's really what the city has decided. 110 not on the table anywhere. But let's talk about what we have downtown right now. What we have was some of the existing buildings which were done prior to the charter amendment, which was done in '89. Pocahontas Park. Pocahontas building is a 2-story residential project, 24 dwelling units on 0.34 of an acre, 70 units per acre. Would anybody guess that that was 70 units per acre? I don't think anybody would think that. I know people who live there, they have this great little courtyard, it's lovely. But that's the concept. The Theater Plaza building, same deal. 2-story building, 8 residential units on 0.27 acres of land, 30 units per acre. Would you guess 30? Why isn't it going higher? 30 units per acre. And last but not least, the Muse building. The Muse building was an older motel that was converted into residential units. 1-story building on almost a half an acre at 48 units per acre. I don't know, is there anybody here from the Muse? I don't mean to scare you, but think about the opportunity to redevelop this piece of property and what could happen there. Think about the fact that this is the threshold, this is the gateway into 14th. Think about how beautiful this could look. Still serving the people who live here now, but the opportunity to build something that provided a gateway, a piece of architecture that the city could be very proud of. So I want to get into the language. Under the current language in the charter under section 5.06, the building height limitations and density levels existing in the zoning ordinance of the city of Vero Beach since August 15, 1989 shall not be increased by action of the city council unless such increase shall be first approved by the electors of the city of Vero Beach. That's the charter today. That's what's under consideration right now. So the proposed charter amendment is really 2 pieces. There's 2 charter amendments that you're looking at. One is going to be allowed for the transfer of development rights, the pot of 1,800 units that the city's going to be able to distribute. And the second is going to be the increase of density in the downtown commercial district. 2 different amendments, 2 different languages, 2 different ordinances that were passed. So ordinance 2414 was A, on properties designated mixed use, the donut, and the future land use, the city's comprehensive plan, additional residential units may be permitted through a transfer of development rights program for workforce housing. So in the donut, which includes the core, but in the donut, it allows for the transfer of development rights. It allows the city to use those 1,800 units and disperse them for projects that are worthy. In the downtown commercial district, we're going to change that mixed use to 36 units per acre in the entire district and also use some of those 1,800 units. That's ordinance 2415 on the charter amendment. This is ballot 1 language. This talks about the transfer of development rights. Raise your hand if you're going to vote for approval. No, I'm only kidding. I don't want to know. Yes, I do. But this is honestly, this is the language you're going to see in November, and November 5th. And I'm bringing this to your attention because that November 5th ballot's going to be full. And if you know ahead of time what you're looking for, and remember, it's 2 separate ordinances. If you know what you're looking for and you can understand what the concept is, you're much more likely to take that journey with us on approving the TDRs. The second is the change of density in the downtown to 36 dwelling units per acre, and to have a fixed level of 1,800 units. That also has to become part of the charter, and it's very detailed. The charter amendment only has 75 words, and I thought the city did a great job of fitting all of that into 75 words. But you have some time to look at this for a little bit longer. But let me tell you the chamber side of this. We have, as I said, we've long supported workforce housing. We also have businesses that are stretched to the limit on trying to bring in new development, new talent, and not having anywhere to put them. We also have businesses that really want their people to love where they work and love where they live. And it is important to the tax base of Vero Beach and Indian River County that those paychecks stay here to be spent here. It is important to see those kids go to our A+ schools. It's important to have those people use our facilities. It all becomes important to the makeup of what downtown should feel like. Vibrant, exciting, comfortable, safe. All those things go in. There's lots of words you could use to describe the downtown, but that's really where we're headed right now. I use this last slide as what could be. And this is down the road. As I said, you've got 9 to 11 public hearings just to get through what those charter amendments state, if they're approved. That's a lot. If you feel like you haven't been involved, you will be. And I encourage you to be, because there's a lot of language and a lot of explaining that's going to have to go into how the city's going to make all of this work. But this is what could happen in the downtown. You could see, and where we are right now is we are at 14th, which is right there. This is the Vero Vintage, the blue building right now. 20th, this is State Road 60. Old Dixie, right? This is a city lot, that city parking lot right now. And if that height doesn't scare you, and it doesn't scare me, because like I said, gotta go through review, lots of opportunities to have a say at it. Look at how diverse that would be, how comfortable that would be. Look at that streetscape and how that would drive traffic to want to go downtown. Our guests, our visitors, and our residents would be to have a real opportunity to come and be a part of all of that. So with that said, I'm just about done. I told you to be short and sweet. Please check out the website. I'm here to answer any questions if I can. I'm not going to speak for the city. And I want to just point out, one person taking a trip is a journey. 2 people is an adventure. So let's make this an adventure as we go through this, because it's right here to make an adventure, to change what we look like, and it's very doable. Any questions?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
when I go to Winter Park, to Park Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
those buildings are pretty much all original. And they are 1 to 3 stories tall. If I go to the west side of the tracks, that used to be pretty much a black lower economic area, and it's developed. Those buildings are still 1 to 3 stories in height. The level of commerce in that area is very affluent. And so we don't have that affluence necessarily here in Vero Beach, except for maybe on the island on the very north and very south side. So how would a downtown Vero Beach, how does that create affordable housing? Because that's like the key words. If it's created, it kind of echoing Winter Park. Hopefully I used my.
You did. You did. So Winter Park real estate is very expensive. Got a lot of lakes and all of that, and it is older buildings. A lot of it's older. Some of it has been reconstructed and made to look new. The heights on Winter Park can be anywhere, and just a quick correction, 4 to sometimes 6 on Park Avenue. And those basically have, many of them are office buildings that actually are that 4 to 6, not as many with residential on top. The ones that have residential on top, I'm going to equate to the Pocahontas building. That has a small degree of residential on top that people love. They fight over getting into those units. I think the issue is going to be how the units are developed, what goes on the first floor to use for commercial development if possible, and how a developer can, and this is the key, can make enough money from the project to make it cost effective. Now, I say that workforce is gonna be all that's going on downtown. I think there's gonna be some developers who are looking at both workforce and maybe at market, because the ones that are down there right now are at market, right? There's no workforce housing. I mean, maybe it is, maybe Pocahontas is, and maybe, but we don't know. But you might see some at market coming in down there, and at that point, you've really got that mixture. I would say in Hannibal Square and Winter Park across the tracks, that is affordable housing, that is workforce housing. Most of that is small unit, 1, 2 studio apartments. If you go behind there, it's got a 6-story garage tucked away.
On those?
Pardon me?
What's the rent on those?
I don't know. I wouldn't be able to answer that. But they do have a lot of workers and employees for the Winter Park area and the general Orlando area that enjoy that lifestyle. Where, again, you're creating an area where people can walk, bike, enjoy their time outside. Yes, ma'am.
When you talk about the transfer of power,
Transfer of density.
okay, the property, who owns the property?
It would be you, me.
So whoever actually, but I mean, who owns it now? Do they agree to what this is being proposed? If they all said, oh yeah, I want this building now.
That's the reason for the charter amendment right now. It is to present to the community and the property owners involved, and the property owners in downtown. And my understanding is a lot of downtown property owners are excited about this. They're excited to see it change and to be able to see it become someplace that people want to spend some time.
So we really don't know if they have even agreed until they present them with plans.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
What happens if both don't pass, or what if one passes? Is there like a plan? I should be asking my husband.
You should.
Yeah.
He's sitting right there, the mayor. Because I can't answer that question. I know for me, it would be greatly disappointing to not see these pass. And as somebody who has property on 21st, I would really love to see these pass. Because I would love to be able to have a more walkable community to spend time in. For somebody who basically manages a building right on 21st. The fact that the chamber is engaged in downtown is because we're part of it. We see it every day. I have people who walk downtown every single day. I want to give them options. So talk to him. I think we would be back to square one. Wouldn't it? I think it would be horrible. A lot of, and I say that because one of the things that I always look at, how much time, money, and effort, and community time, and community money, and community effort. Your time is all worth something. It's very valuable. How much of that has been put in to creating this plan? And seeing something that comes from consensus building to coming into, as we started out with the plan and the implementation, coming into implementation. That's amazing. And it takes a lot of energy and patience, none of which I have. Yes, ma'am.
So with TP Kennedy at the helm, making sure everybody's educated on this project, I am certain both will pass.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the things we hear a lot is, how is this going to impact Three Corners? They feel that it's too much competition. So what do you think as a planner that we've got the downtown core and Three Corners?
I think it's a completely different market. I think it's two different projects. In the same way that Beachside is very different from downtown. And you can't, it's apples and oranges. And I think Three Corners becomes mangoes. I think that there's lots of room for all those aspects, and it just depends on what Three Corners comes in on. But I just think that ability, you've got the water and the bridge, then you've got the downtown, which is historic. Let's not forget that we're talking about a historic area. That's a big deal. That's something that you want to drive traffic to. You want people. I'm a geek. When I travel, ask my husband. When I travel, I find every downtown, and I make him take me there. And then the first place I go to is the Chamber of Commerce to get all the information, because I want to know what's down there. but I check out downtowns. And I suggest you do that too if you want to. You'll see what downtowns look like. You'll see what thriving downtowns look like. We're on the cusp of making this work. We're on the cusp of seeing downtown thrive. And it's not that much of a push. Yes, sir?
I work for the school district, and I travel to Southeast recruiting teachers. And workforce housing has been a serious problem. And the mayor and I, we talk all the time about this and how important his dream is to make sure that we get these 1,800 units here in Vero Beach, and also these folks on the side of you right here. We definitely need the help in the school district to maintain and keep good professionals that you all know that for the last 2 years we've been a district. And so, Ms. Stone, I like what you're saying up there today, and I want to take this back to the district to tell them that it was passed in November. So let's do what we have to do to make this happen, if you don't.
Does the mayor make you pay for your own coffee? 'Cause he always I'm just checking out like where I need to be from now on.
It'll be on the side.
Sorry, John. Yes, ma'am.
We are newer residents to Vero.
Did we scare you?
Yeah, you have not, it's actually refreshing. We come from a little village called Greenwich, Connecticut.
Wow.
That has the same concept, it's working very well. It is the only thing I miss about the Northeast. It was refreshing to come home from my Manhattan job to my village green square, to my walkable downtown where we could meet for a cocktail or have some entertainment or do some shopping. So I am so excited about this project.
Are you registered to vote? If not,
I'm
do.
a county.
Oh, there you go.
But as soon as.
Hey, we're very happy to take your money for restaurants and bars and entertainment. That works very well from a Chamber of Commerce standpoint, so there you go. I know we want to wrap up. I promised Irina that I wouldn't take very long. Are there any other burning questions or not burning questions? I'm going to be working with Irina through this project. I'm going to be checking in with her with regard to the website. We've talked about maybe doing a wine trail downtown and then maybe hooking up at the chamber to answer any questions that we can. I'm going to turn it over to TP to see if he has anything you want to share. Did I hit it? Did I kind of? Okay. It's on the November 5th ballot. And remember, I'm going to go back. You got one, and you got two. Two different ballot amendments.
But I'm in a county.
You won't get those then. These are only for the city ballots.
Dori?
Because they're only going to impact, I'm going to put back here, there it is, the donut. But you want to, then you're going to have to wait till somebody builds one of these and come in and buy one. That's what you're going to do.
And tell all your friends that live in the city how to vote.
Yes.
Okay, so that's how we do it.
Thank you very much for letting this old town.
Laura Moss next.
Yeah, I'm gonna, former mayor, Commissioner Moss, I will now turn it all over to you. Does she have a PowerPoint or anything?
I don't think so, but one thing before Laura begins, I just want to let you know, we are going to let everybody know what those referendum numbers are, so that when you go to the polls, you'll know which numbers they will be identified as.
And I will say this, and I tried to give as much, and I truly appreciate the city for all the information they have. If you want to get granular in this thing, if you want to get down to the brass tacks, get on the city website, pull up this report, Ideas for Downtown, take a look at it, because it will get you into dreaming about what the next 10 years could be. And I want to share that with you along the way, that this is a great document. It's on the city's website, as well as all the presentations, the ordinances, the resolutions, everything the city has done over the last 3 years to get to this point. So remember, we're planning, and then we're going to go into policy, and then we implement it, and we flip the switch. So with that, Mr. Moss.
Last call. That's what I'm hearing, last call for drinks. For drinks, not for information, not for entertainment. Last call for drinks. Lady in the back of the exit. Thank you. Thank you, Dori. That was a great presentation. And while I was listening, I didn't have a chance to attend the city council meetings where this was discussed. I did attend the two for the Three Corners project, the one where the vote was taken and then the one where the vote was untaken, I guess I'm saying, the unvote. But, but that being said, you think about it, put it into context. I mean, I'm gonna talk just for a few minutes about the centennial coming up, but as I'm sitting there listening to Dori, we have so many exciting different things going on within the county. Of course, the city of Vero Beach, but think about it, that Sebastian annexation that you've all heard about, that a huge amount of property was added to the city of Sebastian. Fellsmere, little Fellsmere, has been annexing property, and now geographically, it's the largest, not in terms of population, but just in terms of geography. So, talking about 100 years ago, and then thinking about 100 years from now. So, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about that. And these are big decisions that the city is about to make. I am a city resident, of course, and former mayor, city of Vero Beach. We have really big decisions to make because this should stand for the next 100 years. And you want to put it into that perspective, I think. Because all of these cities came about 100 years ago. Fellsmere, I think, was 2015, and that was before I was elected. I was elected mayor in 2016, so I wasn't part of that. But the Vero Beach Centennial, think about this cluster of cities in the county. So the Vero Beach Centennial was in 2019. Sebastian is having theirs right now, this year. And by the way, you're all invited. The Sebastian Centennial Day is going to be December 8th, and they're going to have the Clydesdales. And we know how much we love the Clydesdales, because every time they come to Vero, we all turn out. So they're having a parade that day, December 8th, and the Clydesdales. The county, this is just a sneak preview. I can't even show you anything. What's happening is we're working on an addition to the website. So all of this information will be available. They're still gathering it, and they will be presenting it to County Commission in the middle of September. So they're putting together, I just have a very preliminary sketch of the website. So I'll tell you what is on it in terms of content. All right, now, I know you folks just moved here from Greenwich, so you won't qualify for this. But seriously, anybody out there, if your family moved here in 1925 or earlier, then you'll want to contact the county because they're going to have a history page and they want to highlight families that moved here around that time, came here in whatever manner. And then they're going to have fun things to do. So there'll be a whole schedule for the year of different things to do, and anybody who was here and participated in the Vero Beach Centennial, that was incredible. I mean, we had something almost every week, and I give Tammy Bursick, who was the city clerk at the time, did just an amazing job and brought together businesses and nonprofits. So it wasn't just city staff, because it was such a large event and so much fun. You couldn't have just 2 or 3 people. It really went way beyond that. I hope the county will do the same thing. I'm going to suggest that they do. So anyway, that will be fun things to do. They're going to have a collection of newspaper articles, if you like local history. So they're going to collect the newspaper articles from the last 100 years, and photos. I love photos, so I'm a visual person. So all of this will be on the website. It will be coming before us, that's County Commission, in the middle of September, and when we've seen it and voted on it, then it will go live, so to speak. So it will be on the county website, and I'll tell you what that is. It's easy to remember, indianriver.gov. indianriver.gov. And you know what? I suggest you look at it now because it's been totally revamped. And especially I highly recommend the Parks and Recreation section of it. It talks about, and for this couple who just moved here in green space, it talks about all the different parks and trails and outdoor things that we have that we can do here. So I highly recommend you check it out now, but in a month from now, we should have all this centennial information go live. And I just want to thank Dori again, because I'll say one other thing. What they did, and not just for this evening, but and I know Sheriff Flowers is here, and he's aware of this too. What the Chamber of Commerce did, and this is so critical, it's talking about the next 100 years. Yes, you're going to decide it as voters, but you're going to need people who implement it, who are listening and who are able to do what you hope, that they will do, and that will turn out to, to measure or match or embody, your dreams and desires, and that's candidates. And what the Chamber of Commerce did, and I'm sure this is a huge project, I hate to even think of how many hours went into it, but they had several questions and invited all of the candidates for all of the races. And remember, tomorrow is the day the local races are decided. That's county commission, school board, the sheriff's race. A lot of local races are decided tomorrow. November, of course, is very important for this, and for the top dogs, the president, and all of that. But locally, tomorrow is a very big day, and I just want to thank the Chamber of Commerce again, because some people, don't like to read, don't like to do that kind of research, would rather watch a video. And Dori Stone and her team took the time to allow every single candidate the opportunity to come in and make a video. So please watch those videos, be educated, and thank you again to the Chamber of Commerce, and thank you to Arena for enabling us to have this conversation, and all benefit from this information. Thanks.
Bring it home, John.
Good evening, everyone. Again, like everyone else, I'd like to thank Arena for providing this forum for everyone to come to and ask questions and provide some education. And it's difficult following Dori. I mean, great presentation. Thank you, Dori. The Chamber is a big supporter of what's happening downtown, and looking forward for them to educate our populace and citizens of what's going on downtown. There's one quote, and the only thing I'll say about about downtown, because as we all know, there is a restriction of what we can say here, is that this is actually quoted from a soccer player, believe it or not, who happens to be an urban planner. And think about this. People think urbanism, which is a form of what we're trying to do downtown, is about building 100 more Manhattans. But it's really about building multiple more Main Streets. So that's what we're trying to do downtown. And I will end that comment right there, so I don't get myself in trouble. But here you go. That's what our goal is. My purpose is just to give you what's happening with Three Corners, give you a quick update on that, and then answer any questions you may have on what's going on in the city. So right now, the new RFP, of which the city council made, I think, copious input into what we wanted, worked closely with staff. We had a wonderful learning experience, we'll put it that way, what happened to us with the previous RFP and the responses. I think we learned from that experience. We're going to take an approach of thinking slower but acting faster as things happen. That RFP went out on the 15th. I double checked with Monty this afternoon. We all have a meeting scheduled with our city manager on Mondays, and as of 2:30 this afternoon, there's only been one request for an RFP packet. It's actually a new developer.
Yeah, that's great.
So that RFP packet will be sent out. We're hoping, of course, that the previous 4 developers respond. But who knows? You know, it's up to them. It's their business decisions. So, the RFPs will be due back second week in December. We have a selection committee selected. And I believe we have 3 of our citizens will be on the selection committee. Vicky Gould, who happens to be in the audience. Bob Jones, who happens to be in the audience. And I don't see Jeb Bittner, so he's not in the audience. So 3 citizens. Bob heads up a finance committee, Vicky headed up the 3 Corners Steering Committee, and Jeb Bittner heads up planning and zoning. So zoning committee. So they will be here. They will be part of the selection committee with 2 staff. Jason Jeffries, who's our head of our planning and development team, and Rob Olton, who heads up the wastewater treatment and water plant. So those will be our 5 selection committees. The process has changed, and just to outline that process, I think we tightened up the process, and not to get into the nitty details of the RFP, but the part of the process I like personally from where we tightened it up is that the selection committee will, no matter how many RFPs are received, will narrow it down to 3. Those 3 will be interviewed, and they will narrow it down to 2, and only 2 of those people will go to City Council for their discussions and interviews. And then the City Council will then do their thing and vote. So that's the update as of tonight for the RFP, the resubmittal of the RFP. Yes, the resubmitted, the re-proposals are call for RFP proposals from developers. So, any other questions on anything to do with the city? Wow, this is great. Everybody's well informed. Everybody has no questions. So okay.
Can we show the
This makes a
website?
short night. So too bad the
John,
bar's not still open.
Can we just show the website, John?
Excuse me?
Go up there. Can we show the website? We forgot to show the website. Jonathan's gonna come up and show the website.
Okay, sure.
He's been working on it for 2 weeks. I forgot to show it.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
Good idea.
Sheriff Flowers.
Not related to yours, but Laura left without taking questions. Centennial, at the sheriff's office, we've already ordered new cool badges. And so all of our deputies will be sporting special Centennial badges for the county Centennial. And I'm sure we're gonna do a lot of production things about sharing the history of 100 years with the Beaver County Sheriff's Office. So we're a part of that too, and we're excited. That's it. Thank you.
All right, everybody, thank you again for coming out tonight, and we are very excited to introduce YesForDowntownVero.com, the citizen-led education engagement initiative surrounding the referendums coming up this November. So as you can see, we start on a home page, and you can get an idea of the past, but also the future, because we're really looking to the past to inspire the future. We have a letter from T.P. Kennedy. We have several quotes from some of our many community leaders and our wonderful
Jonathan, can you just show who's powering this, just for a moment? Yeah, just thanks to all these folks for making this possible. And Jonathan, if you could go tab by tab, the About section, just to show people where the survey is. Oh, by the way, that's a 1935 map of Vero Beach. And when you get to the home page, you'll see there were more than 3 hotels, tons of housing options, pharmacies, gift shops, bookstores, insurance, gasoline, and just everything. So when people say, keep Vero Vero, that's what Vero was. So it's what we're trying to get back to. So Jonathan, if you go scroll down for a second and show them some of the images. Just sit there and let that scroll. Have you ever seen that many people on Main Street? And look at the beautiful architecture.
Where did all that go, Irina? All that stuff that you just named? Where did it go?
We're gonna find out. Look at everybody standing on the corner. That was Scott's Sporting Goods. So that's what Vicky wanted to cut back.
Barbara, it was pulled down for progress, to make the way for progress.
Anyway, so that's fun. That's fun to study, and that was from, oh gosh, it's a jewelry store who provided that. But anyway, so you'll see an about section and the timeline of everything that's been happening here and what the city's been doing to make this happen. We'll have the resources page is pretty intense. We're going to put Dori's speech right up there. But what's the difference between good density and bad density? Frequently asked questions, additional resources, the different surveys, and you can click on those buttons and see what the community says. We don't list the community names, but in the retail survey, we had close to 2,000 people take that survey, and it's very interesting to see the comments that your other community members put forth. And then we have Andres Dewani's final presentation. This is interesting too. When you click it, can you click into that, Jonathan? When you click into the final Andres Dewani's final presentation, you'll be able to watch that final presentation in case you missed it or you never saw it. And there's a chance for you to make comments on the right. I don't know whether the city made that post. Can you scroll down just a touch? But if you scroll down, you'll see, I don't see it now. I saw it earlier today, but people can make comments on that presentation. And then if you go to the news tab, Jonathan, that is every news story that has come about this initiative since its inception. So this is a place where people truly can get educated. That was Jonathan who did that. So,
Yeah.
Yes for downtownvero.com. We'll be sending out lots of emails. You'll be hearing a lot from us. But and then in the update section on the right, every time we send out an update, we'll put it there. So if you missed something, you can go there and see it in chronological order, latest date first. And then in the top right is the Take the Survey button. The survey is done. It has one or two glitches. So, Jonathan, do you feel like clicking on that, Take the Survey? It's a little glitchy still. Something is holding it back from final submission, so I don't want people to take it yet. But scroll down and see the map, Jonathan. So this helps you understand. Jonathan has labeled that so that you can get your orientation. A lot of people aren't good at looking at maps that aren't labeled, so that'll help you understand, where 14th Street is, where Pocahontas is, and some of the key restaurants and shops and businesses. And then if you want to reach out to us, okay, that goes down. We're going to ask everybody to, you can see that yourself. But hope you engage in that and share it with your friends and family and colleagues and everyone. All right, any other questions? I think we're done.
What about TP? Thank you, Irina. Is it TP?
TP's right there.